I have Oregon State at Purdue at 7 p.m. on Saturday. Um, I just think this is a matchup of two terrible Power Five teams. I don't think real football is going to be played, but I think it's going to be entertaining to watch just because we're going to see some really bad teams.
I'm gonna watch. Hello, everybody. Welcome in to episode 19 for the Long-Winded Podcast. My name is Dan. With me today is Cody. Cody, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I can't believe I've already done 19 episodes.
19, and that's not even counting like
The mini broken up
yep,
videos. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
yeah. It's already flown by, and we're already in the college football season. We've already had 1 week of college football.
I felt like it was never going to happen. And now that it's back, it's like one of the best things in my life currently.
Yeah. I mean, and then this week it's really back. Like this week we're full blown,
Yeah, it's
full
it's
steam
like
ahead.
officially back
Yep.
this year, this week.
All right. Well, we're gonna get into the week one preview, and we're gonna do a quick review of week zero. But first, we're gonna talk about some news from the past week. So the first one I got, I think we really only have two this week, and then we have a third that we're gonna talk about that everybody's heard of by now. But Quinn Ewers he signed another NIL deal. He has signed one to an autograph deal that's worth over $1 million,
Yeesh.
and it's a multi-year deal. So that's it seems like the big time quarterbacks. It doesn't matter if you've actually played or not. If you're just a big time quarterback recruit, you're gonna get a deal no matter what.
So you know what's crazy about it to me is that these guys are, I mean, they're signing these deals that someone else is making more money off of.
Yeah.
Like that's the wild part to me. It's like these guys are signing these massive deals, and then someone on top of that money is making money.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's a whole like NIL agency, like there's a whole new business model of just like getting college athletes deals now, and they're taking
yeah,
percentages off that just like an agent would. But
wild stuff.
it's crazy the age we're in now. Um, Moving on, the second news topic I have. This is
I have a
actually the
piece, a
one that
news
you.
piece.
This is the one that you sent me.
Wow.
Uh,
Oh,
Sent me just before we started. Evidently, the Big 12 had a meeting today, and
yeah,
Houston is now out of the consideration, no longer being considered as an addition
yeah,
to the
yeah.
Big
So I
12.
actually did a little more digging on this too, from what I sent you. Um, on August 27th, Don Williams, who is a reporter that covers Texas Tech for the Lubbock Avalanche Journal, which is, I guess, the big newspaper in Lubbock. Um,
It's a fair
he
guess.
reported that the Big 12 has put together a 4-member subcommittee to consider expansion of the league. Athletic directors from Texas Tech, Kansas, Iowa State, and Baylor are the members making up the subcommittee, and they're having in-person meetings this week. In relation to this, the Athletic has cited a couple they've cited unnamed sources, stating that at least 15 schools from the American and Mountain West have reached out to the Big 12 to express interest in joining. I've also seen some rumblings, and this is where Dan mentioned that I had sent him something I'd sent him to him a tweet on Twitter from someone who appears to be sort of like an amateur news reporter. I couldn't find what,
Independent guy.
uh, yeah, what sort of
Affiliation.
um, affiliation or website or anything like that he works with, but he appears to have to be and have been reporting on the Big 12 and Texas football specifically. And he reported over the last probably 48 hours that Houston and SMU have been ruled out as potential expansion teams due to the fact that They are both in Texas, and the Big 12 feels that they already have a fairly large footprint in Texas, and they are wanting to expand. If they're going to expand the conference, they want to expand the conference to places in which they do not currently have a footprint. That makes a lot of sense to me. So they're currently zeroing in on Cincinnati, BYU, Memphis, Central Florida, and Boise State. This next part was not part of any of the reporting, but to me, it would also make a lot of sense to include San Diego State University in that conversation. It's about as large a city as you could hope to add to your conference at this point, and a larger media market. And they play well. They're building their own stadium, and things around the San Diego State program are just on the uptick. Really kind of reminds me of like Boise State in like 2007, how like that kind of feel of things.
Yeah,
That's how I feel about
how they're building the program.
Yeah, that it really feels like they're building themselves to be a strong non-power five G5 team. So like they would make a lot of sense to be considered at this point. But that is just speculation on my end.
We love some speculation around here.
Yeah, and obviously, none of the national media firms have picked up on this. So, like, fact checking is what it is. We don't actually know if any of this is real, fake.
It's just definitely plausible. Like, it's definitely.
But some of this has to be based on fact, just due to the fact that I'm hearing it and seeing it in so many different like places. It's like how you start seeing like, oh, this is here, this is here, this is here. How we saw Texas and Oklahoma, the smaller media usually break the story first, and then it's the big media that hop on it.
So the local guy always gets it first.
Yeah.
Not always, but most of the time. But yeah. I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of in line with what we were all expecting, the teams that they were going to be looking at at adding. So I don't think there's a big surprise here. I think it is slightly shocking that they're not willing to add any more Texas teams. I agree. I think Houston, how much money Houston could bring in, and even SMU. A lot of money. Even SMU being, I don't know if you saw the uniforms that SMU have come out with. The Dallas uniforms that they're going to wear against North Texas.
They're sick. They're really cool.
Dallas is a huge market. It's one of the biggest markets in the country. So, and there's not a college football team there other than SMU. So SMU's trying to brand themselves as the Dallas team. So I think it's kind of interesting that they're just not they're not even willing to accept any other. Well,
and they've always done that. I think it really kind of goes. I think honestly, what it boils down to is that Baylor and TCU and Texas Tech hold a pretty strong sway in the conference, considering they make up a large percentage of it now. And I don't think that they want to have to compete with those teams year in, year out for recruits and the money on top of it. But monetarily, I think that both of those teams would make the most sense if you're just going for money. But honestly, to me, it actually sounds like the Big 12 is not moving to making money. They're focusing on actually improving the conference.
Yeah.
Which is refreshing. In my opinion, if all of this is true, that's really refreshing. Because if it were the SEC, they're gonna in the same position, SEC in the same position, they're gonna choose to add Houston and SMU. Because they're all about the money. So
I agree. I think so you think they're gonna end up on 10 teams, or you think they're gonna try to get back to the 12 number?
I think. Honestly, it makes the most sense to get to 12.
I think it does too.
To me, it makes the most sense.
So right now, if I had to pick 4 teams, I guess there's only 5 that are left in being in consideration. I'd probably leave Memphis out of that race and take UC, BYU, UCF, and Boise State. That's just right now. If I had to pick, I think I'd leave Memphis out of that group.
I think 12 makes the most sense. I don't think that if they expand, they're not doing 10. I don't think they just add 2 teams. Mainly because I think they want to actually have a conference that needs divisions for a conference championship game.
Yeah.
They considered expanding a few years ago, and that was a farce, but like it was actually wanted by Oklahoma, and I think that started the rumblings of Oklahoma leaving. But I think that they get to 12.
I think that's the smartest thing.
Personally, if I'm part of the conference, 14 is my comfort zone.
Yeah, that's the ideal world. But like if these are the 5 teams, they're only narrowed it down to 5 teams now. So like even if they took all 5 of them, there's only 13. So I don't think there's 6 teams total that are good enough to improve the conference or even kind of keep it at the same level.
I think that there is one more team that is not on this list that it should be in consideration, in my opinion. I would personally say, obviously, Cincinnati, BYU. I would take Memphis, UCF, and Boise State. So that puts you at 13. And then I would honestly, like, I think that they have to consider either San Diego State or Colorado State.
Yeah.
Both of those states are growing quickly. California, it's California. Get into California. If you're already going up to Idaho, you might as well go to California.
Yeah.
That's kind of my take on it.
I don't think I'm as high on the San Diego State. I don't think, definitely not Colorado State. I don't love that as an addition, but San Diego State, I don't think that market. Yeah, you think of San Diego as a big market, but I don't think it's a big sports market. The Chargers failed there. The Padres have had their ups and downs, and outside of that, they really don't have anything else in town.
It isn't. So here's the thing: it isn't a massive market, but it's the perfect market for a college football team.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what San Diego State's attendance looks like on a yearly basis, but
it's been pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And they play in the old San Diego Chargers stadium.
Yeah.
So they have decent attendance, and then on top of that, they built with building their own stadium. I mean, I would compare San Diego State similarly to Orlando, like with UCF. UCF has built something in Orlando.
That's fair.
And so I think I would compare them as very similar type situations, and I think that it's a great situation. Personally, I think 14 teams is where they should go. I think they'll end at 12, but they would be shooting themselves in the foot if they don't move to 14.
I agree. All right, so we're gonna take a little bit of break here. We're gonna start a new segment. We're gonna do it. I'm coming up with this name on the spot, but tweets of the week. So Cody's gonna screen share his computer, and he's gonna pull up some tweets, and we're gonna run through them. But we'll be right back.
All right. So for our tweets of the week, I have went ahead and taken the liberty of sharing these with Dan and I. I think most of these were actually shared by me, but moving forward, we were both kind of gonna message this account and share them. These are kind of going to be funny tweets or just tweets of interest. So this first one, as we can see, I thought was particularly funny is
it's Bo Nix flying down.
Bo Nix. It's some video of Bo Nix. For those of you not watching on YouTube, it is actually video of Hurricane Ida making landfall and a trash can being shoved across the street at like 30 miles an hour. And the caption is, Bo Nix is looking quick this year.
That's a good tweet.
That's a very good tweet.
Should we rate the tweets? Should we start like
I'm gonna rate this like a solid 7.5.
7.5 out of 10. I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one an 8. This is a really top tier solid tweet.
Yeah, that's a solid tweet. All right, so our next tweet, it gets into one of the news stories that we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Is about Bishop Sycamore High School. And honestly, this story is hilarious. It's talking about, so it says they got fucking destroyed by IMG. ESPN and their agencies did no research on BS whatsoever. The school went 0-6 last year. They scored 42 points and gave up 227. So they're almost as good as Rutgers. And they played a game 2 days before their game against IMG, and they lost that game too.
So I told you this earlier. This is the craziest story that I think I've ever heard. Not just in sports, just period. This is the craziest story I've ever
It really
heard.
is.
You can't make this shit up.
All right, so basically this is kind of like a news story, but it's also a meme. So I wanted to include it when we talked about here. I wanted to include it when we talked about tweets because I first heard about it on Twitter, and now Twitter has just kind of ran with it.
So many memes.
So many memes. And it's just like, so basically what happened is IMG Academy, who, for those of you who do not know, is basically a football factory. I saw another tweet that I didn't think was worthy of this that basically said like, and there was a fake football team, and the fake football team wasn't IMG Academy. And I thought that was kind of funny if you've never heard of IMG Academy.
Yeah.
And they played, so apparently ESPN put together this game to be nationally televised. And I don't know. There's no real
check. They did no fact
checking.
Yeah,
nothing. They did nothing. Apparently, a bunch of dudes put together a football team, had jerseys and pads and helmets, and showed up. Most of the people that played weren't even high school students for Bishop Sycamore.
In Ohio, too.
And they played at Canton.
Yeah.
They don't have a stadium. They don't have a building. When you look up the address of the building,
this is my favorite.
The address is an apartment complex or a duplex.
Yeah.
I mean, I went down a rabbit hole. Like, I think on this, there's like just a rabbit hole of stuff that they couldn't verify any of the players. Most of the players were JUCO dropouts at 19 or over. Their head coach had an active warrant for his arrest. The school doesn't exist. They're actually based out of Texas. They've got they're like part of the Texas Christian Athletic League. They're still scheduled to play a game on September 10th, apparently, against Duncanville. This is a thing of the
roster
depth chart that they gave the ESPN announcers.
No numbers, nothing. There was one.
No numbers, no nothing.
There was one point where they were like, number 54 is down with an injury. We don't have a number 54 on our roster. We have no idea.
I mean, it is just the level of what the fuckery is incredible. And it just goes on. Like, you can just go on and on and on with these tweets. I mean, there's probably 30 of them just like explaining details and what this is. And it's wild. So enjoy the memes because we're going to be seeing them for a while.
Yeah.
And actually one of the tweets that is in this series is a meme from it. But then this next tweet, it's not particularly amazing, but I'm just going to show it to you because it shows you the level of talent that we saw.
Out of the empty look. Duffy, low throw, it's caught. And reaching across the goal line, it's Carnell Tate.
So for those of you that don't know,
thread that you can look
yeah,
through.
that's a whole nother. This is a whole nother thread of just
the game.
IMG showing up. IMG is in white. Bishop Sycamore is in black, and I mean they just embarrass them, embarrass them. And so yeah, we can.
I give both those. I give both those 5s out of 10 for tweets, just because they're not really funny. They're more just informative. Very informative. But
I agree. So then this next one is from NFL memes, not college football related. Really, this whole thing hasn't been college football related because it's high school. But we'll see like a lot of those IMG guys here in a year or two in college. But this next one I thought was particularly funny. It's from NFL memes. breaking. Cam Newton agrees to a 2-year deal with Bishop Sycamore Pursuance.
This one made me giggle when I saw it.
And it has Cam Newton photoshopped into
those uniforms are better than the ones that they wore during the game.
True facts. So yeah, that's our tweet. What do you give this tweet?
I'm gonna give this one. This one's a 6 out of 10. I just feel like it was easy. It was really easy.
It was too easy. But it took some like creative forethought because I mean Cam only was released today as we're recording on Tuesday the 31st. So someone thought of it real quick.
Yeah.
That's all the tweets that I had. And I thought this was kind of a fun little conversation that we could start doing every week or so.
Yeah, feel free if you're listening. If you find a funny tweet, send it to us. DM it to us on Fourth and Long-Winded.
Yeah. And we will also retweet these on our page so that you can go and like them and give proper notice to the people that made them.
Yeah. All right. Well, I enjoyed that segment. Looking forward to it in the future, but we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with our Week 0 review and Week 1 preview. We're going to talk Week 0. We had some football action this past weekend. 5 games. Going to quickly run through these. First game was Nebraska and Illinois. Illinois won 30-22. Great start for Brett Bielema. Terrible start for Scott Frost. And I had talked to Cody. I don't see how Scott Frost lasts through the end of the season. Definitely not at this rate, but it's going to take a miracle for him to save his job, I think. Next game was Fresno State. They beat UConn 45-0. Pretty impressive. Not because UConn's terrible. UCLA then beat Hawaii. They beat them 44-10. I thought this was pretty impressive. I think UCLA of the past 10 years, this is a more closely fought game. They still end up winning, but not as decisively. They were really good on defense. The offense looked really good. It was never really close. Blew them out 44-10, like I said. Next one was UTEP beat New Mexico State 30-3. Don't really care at all. San Jose State, the last game of the day, they beat Southern Utah 45-14. So there's our Week 0 review. Nebraska. Illinois.
The only thing that I have really to say about any of these games, unfortunately, I with wedding planning had a relatively busy weekend and wasn't able to catch a ton of these, so I just watched highlights. But I did get to watch quite a bit of the Nebraska-Illinois game, and Illinois looked good. Yeah. This game was not as close as it should have been. I think they kind of I don't know if they put in the third stringers, but they definitely let Nebraska score a couple there at the end. Unfortunately, even the plays in which Nebraska looked good, it wasn't because Nebraska was good. It was because Illinois made a mistake.
Yeah.
The quarterback for Nebraska, what's his name?
Martinez
ran for a 75-yard touchdown, but that was just straight up a breaking coverage by Illinois. I'm right there with you. I don't see how Scott Frost is at Nebraska at the end of the year. I did have one theory though.
Okay.
I'm thinking that potentially he's trying to pull some UCF magic, and he's trying to take the team to 0 and 12, so that he can take them next year to 12-0.
That's the only way he can coach, is if the team is
it's the only way.
It's the only way. As low as they can be.
Yeah, so it's pretty insane. But I thought that this
interesting theory.
Yeah, I thought it's a pretty interesting theory. Do you know how many years Nick Saban has been at Alabama?
08, I believe, was his first year. So this will be his 13th, 14th year.
Yeah. All right. So you want to know what his record is?
Probably
at Alabama?
642-3.
At Alabama, it's 165-23.
Okay.
Do you want to know what Scott Frost's record is at Nebraska?
No. God, no, it's terrible.
12-21. So, in order for Scott Frost to catch up and not be any worse, he would need to go. What is it? I'm pulling out my phone
like
for the math here.
111 and 0 or something.
Yeah, it's good numbers. So it'd be 165 minus he's 112.
140 and something.
So he'd have to go 153 and 2.
It's plausible. I could see it happening.
Really? Over the next 14 seasons in order to meet
That's insane.
Nick Saban.
That is insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I did see they put up a graphic and it was like worst head coaching winning percentage in Nebraska history, and Scott Frost is like second worst to some guy I've never heard of. So it's definitely
not much
good.
longer.
Not good.
Not much longer, Scott. I think he'll end up back at a G5 program and do okay.
Yeah.
Not Nebraska.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all for week 0. Let's get into our week 1 preview. We're going to be talking. I think I have 9 games. My games of the weekend, all the ones that I'm going to definitely be paying extra attention to. Cody, I think you said you have 15.
I do. I don't want to talk at length on any of them. I just kind of wanted to run through them. So maybe I can run through like 2 or 3 at the beginning and go back and forth with this.
Yeah, I think I have it all set up in kind of time. Like, so I have the Thursday games and I have a Friday game.
Yep. I also have it set up by time.
Okay.
So
let's start with our Thursday games. I only have one Thursday game to watch. There are some.
I'm assuming that your Thursday game is Boise State versus UCF.
It is not. It is Ohio State at Minnesota. I think that's going to be a pretty good game.
Interesting. I don't care about that game at all. I think Ohio State's going to murder Minnesota, and it's not even going to be interesting.
Fair enough.
I think Boise State at Central Florida is probably going to be the best game played that night. I think both teams are pretty good. I think that UCF is going to be it's going to be interesting to see what they do on offense, considering they're not changing the offense, which is weird for that coaching staff.
Which one?
UCF.
Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, Gus Malzahn. Both first-year coaches at the schools. Gus Malzahn normally runs a different kind of offense than what the quarterback at UCF is used to running. But, I mean, so it's going to be an interesting game. I think UCF wins that game, though, just because of the Florida Heat. Okay, so anyways, technical difficulties. My third game of Thursday is Bowling Green versus Tennessee. I'm a VG grad, so I am excited to watch that game. I was actually trying to make plans to go there, but unfortunately they moved it to a Thursday game, and I just could not manage to get off work for that. I was actually planning to do a bachelor party there. So I've been thinking about doing that for like 3 years since the game was scheduled. So thanks, ESPN. You ruined everything. All right, but for Friday. I'll say my 2, and then you can take over for a little bit.
Okay.
Friday, I have North Carolina at Virginia Tech as one of my games. I think it's going to be a good game. I think North Carolina is going to easily beat Virginia Tech, but like Virginia Tech is never really a pushover in that conference, so it should be like a good game to start off. And honestly, I feel like we don't see that matchup all that often. I don't know why. We might, but like I feel like I don't.
I feel like we probably do since they're in the same conference, but
yeah, but like I just don't. I don't know. There's some about it seems like an interesting game to me.
Yeah.
And then Old Dominion at Wake Forest. Both, I think Wake Forest pretty much destroys Old Dominion, but I also think that they're both 2 schools that like are very academically similar and have the same profile, same size. Like,
it's just honestly, more of an interesting matchup to you.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I think honestly these 2 should be like it's one of those games that it should be a rivalry, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's my games through Friday. What do you got Friday night?
All I had Friday was the North Carolina Virginia Tech game. I do think that's going to be a pretty good game. I think North Carolina, I like you said, they end up winning comfortably in the end, but I do think they get a little scare in the first half. Virginia Tech.
Yeah, we will get to watch decent football Friday night.
Yes, very much. So. But moving into Saturday is just a loaded slate. We have so many great games on Saturday.
So many great games. I'm so excited, man.
Kicking it off at noon Eastern time, Penn State at Wisconsin, and number 19.
I also
Penn
have
State,
this game.
Number 19 or number 12 Wisconsin. That's going to be a pretty big matchup. Both those teams are going to be looking to compete for the Big Ten championship. That's like their goal. So both of them will be looking to get off to a great start. I think it's going to be a really good game. It is at Wisconsin. But I think it's gonna be pretty competitive. So I have that.
I'm not sure who I would take in this game. It's at Wisconsin, so I think I gotta take Wisconsin. But like, I'm feeling pretty high on Penn State this year.
I didn't bet on this game. We'll get into our bets of the week after we go through all these games. But I did not end up betting on this game because I do think it's very close and it's probably too tough to close.
I won't bet on this game.
But I do give Wisconsin the slight edge just for being the home team. So.
What's your next one?
Alabama, Miami. This is gonna be, I think, a lot closer of a game than a lot of people think. I kind of mentioned it last week. I believe it was last week. But I think Alabama. There's really only one way that Miami wins this game, and it's De'Ara King's the best player on the field. That's where it starts, and if that doesn't happen, they have no chance. Yeah. And the defense, which is very good and it's experienced. Forces the young new offensive coordinator Alabama, who probably are still working some things out.
Bugs out.
They force into a lot of mistakes, and that's the way they win the game. De'Ara King and defense forcing the young offense of Alabama into mistakes. I think that's.
What if Miami like blows out Alabama, and what's Bryce Young? And Bryce Young loses his NIL deals because he threw like 6 picks.
I don't know if that'll happen.
I won't, but it'd be funny.
Not if you're Bryce Young.
I also have that game. And that's at 3:30.
Yep.
I have a game before that at 2 that I think is it's a game to keep your eye on. I don't think you should necessarily watch it. It's Fresno State at Oregon.
I thought about Fresno State one down.
Huh?
I thought about putting that one down.
I think that like Fresno State, I mean, they came out and looked pretty good this past weekend. Having the advantage of having played 1 week and working out a little bit of your bugs is kind of nice. Also, it gives Oregon a chance to look at them on film. So like, I don't know who actually has the advantage here. I mean, Oregon has the advantage, but I'm mainly looking to this game to see like how Oregon is going to fare the rest of the season. If Fresno State comes in and kind of hangs around through 3 quarters, I'm questioning what's going to happen with Oregon. Oregon has a chance to come in here and put on a definitive statement against a solid team that probably will be looking to win the Mountain West. Yeah. So
I did have
that's why I put this game down. I think it's going to be a pretty good game.
I did have one thing on the Alabama-Miami game.
Sure.
This is the first time those two have met since 1993, the Sugar Bowl in 1993. Yeah. And here's our stat of the week. Here's our stat. The last time Alabama lost its season opener, do you know when that was? How long ago?
I don't. Probably 20, 30 years.
2001. They lost the home opener to UCLA. They've won the last night. And people might think that they have played nobody to start their season. They'll start their season with some cupcake or whatever. But the last 9 years, they've opened against Michigan, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Wisconsin, USC, Florida State, Louisville, Duke, and Missouri. So they're not playing any slouches the first week, except for maybe Duke.
Solid teams. That's actually something to be interested about because like a streak like that can't last forever.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick Saban can make it last forever if he can live that long, but
they're going to lose eventually. They're going to lose a season opener eventually.
Yeah. So my next game that I have is Miami, Ohio at Cincinnati. I'm going to be tailgating this game. I will be watching it very closely. I'm a Cincinnati fan, obviously.
I'll be there too.
Yes, it is my bachelor party, and Dan will be there along with like 13 or 14 other guys. We're gonna get a keg and get really dumb drunk in a parking lot.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. But
How could
I'm
you not be?
excited about this game just for the sheer fact that UC hasn't lost to Miami in like 15 years, and they
Yeah.
play every year.
Yeah.
It's the fifth oldest rivalry in college football, if you can call it that anymore. Honestly, I think UC should stop scheduling Miami because it just brings the schedule down.
Yeah.
But I'm also not someone that like thrives on traditions. So
fair enough. I wouldn't hate seeing that go away, especially I like you said, for as a UC fan, you can that's a spot that you're dedicating to a team that is not going to make your resume better at all any given season.
And as Miami, it's a game that you're automatically going to lose that you don't get a ton of financial benefit out of.
Yeah, it's a game. There's very little benefit and there's a whole lot of risk, because if you lose that game, that's huge. That's a big negative sign. But if you win it, it's like, so what? You were supposed to win it.
Well, and from Miami's standpoint, it's just like your fans are tired of seeing them lose over and over and over. Like, maybe give it a break for a few years. Maybe Cincinnati falls off and you
do like what Purdue and Notre Dame did. Notre Dame had been beating the crap out of Purdue, so they stopped the rivalry for a couple years, but they're bringing it back this year. So
that's exciting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is the fifth oldest rivalry, like one of the longest running rivalries. So, like, I think that is probably what is keeping it going.
100% is.
But in this age, it doesn't need to continue.
Yeah.
All right. What's your next one?
I got a juicy Big Ten matchup. We got a lot of juicy Big Ten matchups. We had Ohio State, Minnesota on Thursday. We have Penn State, Wisconsin early on Saturday. And then at 3:30 Eastern on Saturday, we have number 17 Indiana at number 18 Iowa. I don't think this is going to be the most beautiful game that has ever been played, because Iowa just doesn't – they don't like beautiful football.
Like beautiful football?
No, they are against it. They're anti-beautiful football.
Ugly ball.
Iowa is favored here, but I think Indiana. So we know, like we just said, we know what Iowa is. Iowa is the exact same thing under Kirk Ferentz. They've been the exact same team for the last 20 years.
We do not know what Indiana is.
We know, but we know what Indiana could be. Like, the start of last season with Michael Penix before he got hurt. That's what Indiana could be, and I think what Indiana could be is a hell of a lot better than what Iowa is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm not betting on this game, but I would consider betting Indiana to win that game.
Yep. I have neglected to go through the lines as we've gone through. I'm not going to go back and go through. If you really want to know, look them up yourself. But Iowa is a 3.5-point favorite in this game. I would take, if I'm not betting on this game, I'm not doing it as one of my best bets, but I think that Indiana plus 3.5 is pretty juicy. So I like that. I did want to throw a shout out to Michael Penix. We neglected to mention him in our Heisman look ahead episode. I think it was kind of bad on our part that we
very much a dark horse.
He's very much in that long shot category that we did not bring him up, so I did want to give him a shout out there.
So my next one, my next two feature teams from Louisiana that are not LSU. Louisiana Tech at Mississippi State at 4 p.m. I just think that that's an interesting matchup, and I actually think that Louisiana Tech has a shot at beating Mississippi State. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it could be a good game.
Yeah.
And then Louisiana at Texas it's an exciting game. Like that's an actual exciting game that we could see Texas lose.
Yep. This is an upset just waiting to happen. Texas is starting a bunch of new guys on offense, and there's a new head coach coming in. Louisiana's bringing back a bunch of players from a team that was
many players
really good last year, and I mean,
and they beat Iowa State, who was the best team in the Big 12 last year.
They opened last year beating Iowa State, so I think Louisiana. I do have a bet on this game we'll get to later on, but Texas is minus 8.5 in this game, which I think is a little high. I think Louisiana might be being slightly disrespected with that, but I still think it's going to be a great game, and I think there is a real shot for an upset. If you're a Texas fan, especially with the way Texas seems to start seasons, usually they seem like they always get upset at some point early in the season.
Yeah.
I would be
I
very
agree.
nervous.
I have 3 games left. What do you got left?
I have 3 games as well.
All right.
I have the biggest game of the week is Saturday night, number 3 Clemson versus number 5 Georgia, 7:30 Eastern time. Like I said, Saturday night. Clemson's a 3.5-point favorite. I think this. I don't like Georgia. I've been clear on that before. I don't like Georgia,
Same.
but I'm willing to give them a chance this year because I do think JT Daniels is a capable quarterback who can make that offense something that doesn't look like it's from the 1950s. I still think Clemson wins this game. I think it's a
wholeheartedly agree with everything you're saying.
I think this game is going to be it's going to come down to which quarterback that you don't fully know or you don't fully know what to expect from. Whichever one makes the fewest mistakes is going to win this game because both defenses are elite. So it's just going to come down to DJ Uiagalelei and JT Daniels, and whoever makes the fewest mistakes, that's who's going to win.
Sure. So I'll go through my next 2, and because I also had Clemson versus Georgia. I have Oregon State at Purdue at 7 p.m. on Saturday. I just think this is a matchup of 2 terrible Power 5 teams. I don't think real football is going to be played, but I think it's going to be entertaining to watch just because we're going to see some really bad teams.
I'm going to watch. I have to. It's my duty.
And then I have UTSA at Illinois.
I thought
and
about
I actually think this is going to be a good game. It's at 7:30. I think UTSA has a shot to beat Illinois. I think Illinois was significantly better than Nebraska, but I think that's because Nebraska's bad, not because Illinois is good.
I seriously think UTSA might be better than Nebraska.
Oh, God, yeah. God, yeah. I mean, I'm taking UTSA like 9 times out of 10 against Nebraska. Okay, so anyways, Illinois is already on their backup quarterback.
Yep.
So built-in advantage. UTSA wins that.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to move into our betting section. If you are,
I have 2 more games that I would want to. I'd like to highlight real quick. LSU at UCLA. That game's Saturday night at 8:30. I do think LSU is on upset alert this week. I think UCLA, like I said earlier, UCLA looked really good last week. Granted, it's against a Hawaii team who's not on the same level as LSU, obviously. But LSU is also facing a lot of obstacles. Their starting quarterback isn't going to be available. Miles Brennan was hurt, and he's out for at least like a couple weeks. They haven't been at home for like the last week because of Hurricane Ida. Right. They've been displaced.
You make some really good points.
And they have to fly across the country and play a UCLA team that's already played 1 game, is already up to speed, looked really good. I think LSU loses this game.
Okay.
I'm going to go out. This is going to be part of my betting as well, but I do think this is going to be an entertaining game to watch, if nothing else. LSU is favored by 3.5 in that game, by the way. And then the final one is the Sunday night game. Before the NFL starts, they like to get those Sunday games in, take advantage of it. Number 9 Notre Dame plays at Florida State on Sunday night at 7:30.
I forgot about this game.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking to watch this game. Mackenzie Milton's first start in 2 years, 3 years, 2 years. I think it's 2 years.
Yeah. I agree that is going to be interesting.
It's going to be a fun game to watch. I mentioned last week that I'm a little bit down on Notre Dame. I'm not, or in the power rankings episode, I mentioned I was down on Notre Dame. I don't think they get beat this week. I still think Florida State's probably a year or 2 away from really being back to being competitive, but I think they put up a fight in this game.
Point of order on this. Mackenzie Milton brought Scott Frost and I think it's Josh Heupel to 2 undefeated seasons. He's pretty special.
Yeah. And we've seen that Scott Frost may not be what he was originally advertised as. And I mean, we'll give Josh Heupel a chance, but I don't have a lot of faith.
I'm not expecting it to be a great hire.
No, I think that's more just about the UT program in general. I think more than anything about Josh Heupel personally. So I don't know. But I am excited.
That's a very, very good game. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch that game too.
All right. So let's get into our betting segment. So we're making a little bit of a change. I was confused listening back to what we were talking about the betting last week.
I was also confused.
So Cody is going to walk us through our new setup for how we're going to keep track of our bets and how we're going to figure out who wins the competition and has to do the punishment at the end of the season.
So each week, the games that we bet on or the bets that we make will count as points. So essentially, if I make 3 bets and I win 2 of those bets, that week I have a win. If Dan makes 2 bets and loses both bets, he has a loss that week. If I make 4 bets and go 2-2, then I have a tie. And whichever one of us at the end of the season has the best record will win the prize. We still haven't determined what that prize or what that punishment that the loser has to do is, but that is how it's going to work. So we can do an unlimited amount of bets, but we have to keep in mind that those bets count towards a record for the week.
Yep. So last week, so we'll start off with reviewing our last week. So we each made 3 picks last week. We both ended up going 2-1, so we're both sitting on 1 dub right now. I picked Illinois.
Undefeated, baby.
We both picked Illinois plus 6.5. That came in pretty easily. I picked UCLA Hawaii under, and that was a dub. Cody picked the Hawaii UCLA over. He got a loss on that one. I picked San Jose State Southern Utah under. I got an L on that one. And Cody picked UTEP minus 10.5. So he got a dub on that one. So we're both 2-1 from last week overall, but we both have 1 win right now. So that leads us into this week's betting. I have 5 picks. Cody, how many picks do you have for this week?
I have 5 as well.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so first? Yeah, I'll go first. Temple plays at Rutgers in East Rutherford, New Jersey, this Thursday. And I am willing to bet that Temple is able to keep up with Rutgers. I think that Rutgers is going to be much improved, and I have a good feeling about them winning, but I also have a good feeling about Temple for some reason. I don't know why. Please don't ask me why.
Okay.
This is entirely just based off my gut feeling.
Gut feeling. I like it.
I think that Temple can beat the spread.
What's the current line? I don't know. I don't have that game.
It sits at Rutgers minus 14.5.
So you're taking Temple plus 14.5.
I'm taking Temple plus 14.5.
All right, I got it. I got it written down. All right, my first pick is going to be on Friday night. I'm going to take UNC minus 5.5. I think last year UNC won 56-45, so they would have covered that last year. I think talent wins out here, and I think North Carolina in the end they comfortably beat Virginia Tech by more than a touchdown. So I think that's a pretty easy cover.
Okay. My next bet comes straight out of my pettiness book.
Okay.
I fully expect Weber State to beat the spread against Utah. You
don't know how happy this makes me.
Utah fans. I don't see Utah coming out there and winning by 28 points.
So
I expect the 3-2 2020 Utah team to be a little rusty at first. And I mean, Weber State has already played this year. So
did they make the playoffs? Did they make the playoffs in the FCS?
I don't know, but they played in the FCS regular season. So I think that Weber State loses, but I think that I'm taking Weber State plus 28.
Plus 28.
And I had to deep dive to find an actual odds on that game
Oh,
because
really?
none of the major sport books have that.
That's funny. I think now that
I
I've started thinking about it, I'm pretty sure Weber State was in the playoffs, and I think they were actually like they're pretty good, especially for an FCS team in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know.
Weber State plus 28.
I love it. I just love rubbing it in Utah fans' face. I just love it. All right. My second pick, I did tease it when we were talking Louisiana, Texas. I'm going to take Louisiana plus 8.5. I'm not bold enough to take them straight up on the money line. And I just love that I'm getting 8.5 points out of a team that I think is every bit as good as Texas. So Louisiana plus 8.5 is my second pick.
That's one of those games that I'm not quite comfortable. I actually think that 8 points is the perfect spread for that game. So I'm not entirely comfortable. I do think Texas is the better team there, but I also could see it going the other way.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable on that particular bet. My next bet is that Army will beat Georgia State by more than the 2 points that DraftKings is giving.
Okay. Army -2.
Army -2.
I like it.
Army, it'll be as good as they always are. And they're always at least decent. And Georgia State is okay for a Sun Belt team, but Army is clearly better.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Georgia State stepped up their program over the last 10 years, but I don't think they can go into West Point and get that dub.
No.
All
I think it's at Georgia State.
That's what I said.
Oh.
That's not what I said.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. All right, my third game. I'm taking Clemson -3.5. I don't like Georgia. I've said it before. And I think Clemson is going to improve on last year. I think they're going to be better this year than they were last year. Their defense was pretty young last year. So defense is going to be a little bit more experienced. I think DJ Ucla is going to have a great season. I think it starts week 1. And I think Clemson fairly comfortably in the end beats Georgia. So that's my third pick, Clemson -3.5.
Okay. So my fourth pick on that particular game, I'm not comfortable betting that because I can't bet good teams. I can only bet really crappy teams that no one cares about because that's where my knowledge is. And based off that knowledge, I am going to bet that Ohio is going to beat Syracuse.
You know, I looked at that one really closely and I thought about it. I seriously thought about it.
I'm actually my actual bet is that Ohio -2. I think Ohio is favored, right?
No, I think Syracuse -2. I'll look it up real quick.
Okay. But so mine would then be Ohio +2. But this is an easy pick for me because I think that Ohio is going to win. Yeah, no, Ohio is Syracuse is favored by 2.
That's what I thought.
And so this is an easy pick because I think Ohio is going to win outright. So it's easy for me to take this because it gives me a 2-point cushion. So I'm definitely taking Ohio +2.
It's a former Dino Babers going back against his former MAC East opponent. So.
Yeah, well, and also I get that Frank Solich is gone, and that's actually probably why Syracuse is favored here.
Yeah.
But Ohio is still a solid team.
They have a solid program there, and Syracuse has kind of done the opposite. They have a pretty terrible football program right now. So,
yep.
I like it. I like to bet. My fourth pick. So let me write yours down. Ohio +2. My fourth pick is UCLA +3.5. I did kind of tease that one in our game previews as well.
Yep.
But I think LSU on paper is definitely the better team, but I think UCLA, because of a variety of circumstances, they looked good last week. They've already played a game. LSU has to deal with hurricane going across the country. I think UCLA covers plus 3.5.
Okay. So I'm actually going to be adding a bet because our conversation earlier made me think.
So you're gonna have
But
6 total?
they are related. Yes, I will have 6 total. So for my final bets, I am traveling to Champaign, Illinois, to bet on the under 49 points on UTSA versus Illinois. I just don't see them scoring that many points
Under
together.
49 points. Got it.
That, and I'm also betting on UTSA plus 5.5.
Ah, so 2 bets from the same game. Okay.
2 bets from the same game.
What was the line again?
It's 5.5. It's Illinois minus 5.5.
Okay.
Our conversation earlier about that game, like I'm feeling good about the Road Runners.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think they're super underrated. When I was looking into it, I was planning on actually get a bet on Illinois minus 5.5 because I think just UTSA is a great story. They're a really good team. They got one of the best running backs in the country, but I think Illinois showed something last week that they're ready to play competent football, and they have so much better talent. So I think all they need to do is play competent football, and they can their talent can take them to beat UTSA.
You want to take that bet and add it?
I'll take it.
Come on.
So we each have 6.
Yeah.
I'll take Illinois.
So we're gonna fight on that one.
So I'm gonna ride the Illinois. They were good for me last week, so I'm gonna ride Illinois and take Illinois minus 5.5. But for my final bet, it also kind of relates back to something we were talking about in the game previews. Notre Dame and Florida State. I'm gonna take Florida State plus 7.5. I think they can lose by a touchdown or less. I think they can stay close in that game. So I'm going to take Florida State plus 7.5 as my final pick.
I think that's a pretty good bet. I'm not going to take it. I think it's a pretty good one.
So that's it. We'll run through them real quick one more time. I'm taking UNC minus 5.5, Louisiana plus 8.5, Clemson minus 3.5, UCLA plus 3.5, Florida State plus 7.5, and Illinois minus 5.5. Cody is taking Temple plus 14.5, Weber State plus 28, Army minus 2, Ohio plus 2, UTSA Illinois under 49, and the UTSA Roadrunners to win or lose by less than 5.5 points.
Yep.
Sound good?
Sounds good to me. I hope I win.
I know I will. So there.
Technically, we could both win.
Yeah.
But that lock fight or that bet fight that we're gonna have, we're both gonna be really into that UTSA Illinois game on Saturday night.
Yeah, yep.
We'll be sitting we're going to the Montgomery Inn in Cincinnati for dinner, and we're gonna be sitting there at the bar at the Montgomery Inn watching that game, just like,
come on, Illinois.
Eating the table, come on, Roadrunners.
So I am 1-0 so far in our head-to-head bets. Because last week I took the UCLA Hawaii under, you took the over. So far I'm 1-0 in our head-to-head lock battles. So we'll see how that works.
Well, let's see who wins this one.
All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Everybody enjoy week 1 of college football.
It's going to be so much fun.
Back. I know Cody and I are going to have a great weekend. Make sure you have a great weekend as well. Make sure to find us on Twitter at 4 and Long-Winded. Find us on Facebook. Like, comment, subscribe to the video. Share with your friends. Tell everybody. Tell your neighbors. Tell your mailman. Tell everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye, friends.